said I'm ready for greatness. I 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 said I'm ready for greatness.
Okay, we're back. I took some time off, but now it's time to hit the next episode in the 5 anchors. We're on anchor 3. Focus in on what you can control and leave what you can't. Now, before we dive in, let's quickly recap the first 2 anchors so you can see all this fits together. Anchor 1. Remember, you take the hit, but you don't stay down there long. We feel the gut punch, we acknowledge it, but we don't let it define us. We keep moving forward. Then there's anchor 2. I own what's mine and release what's not. If something is truly your responsibility, you learn from it. And if it's not, let it go. No grudges, no bitterness, only lessons. Now, anchor 3 is the natural next step. Only focusing in on what you can control. So once you've taken that hit and released what isn't yours, now it's time to channel your energy into the things you can control. See, your response, your effort, your mindset, these are your power points. Now, even when the world feels uncertain, health challenges, personal setbacks, world events beyond your control, there are always things you can influence. You can make your voice heard. You can seek out accurate information. You can vote. You can be an advocate. And most importantly, you can care for those who are around you. Now, those things are within your control. When you focus on them, it gives you strength, even when everything else feels shaky. Now, the same applies to personal life and health. I've had to rethink my whole approach to my back, my legs, and my therapy, which is ongoing. I mean, if I couldn't bend down a certain way like I used to, I had to invent and figure out another way. I had to figure out how to bathe myself. I had to do a whole bunch of things and do it differently than I used to. If I couldn't exercise like I used to, I had to find alternatives that gave me the same emotional and cerebral rush. If I had a piece of musical equipment and it didn't work as intended, hell, we figured out how to make it work for the gig, even if we had to break out the duct tape, until we actually got it together and figured out how to use it correctly. See, these are things that you can control. I believe life requires court vision. When an obstacle hits, step back and ask, what can I control here? What can I leave aside? How can I move over, under, or around this thing efficiently, cost effectively, and without causing extra trauma? See, progress may be slower than you want, but progress is still progress. Sometimes necessity even forces you to invent things, invent solutions, and in doing so, you discover your creative capacity and see where your resilience lies. See, I choose my battles carefully. I take incremental steps forward, sometimes lateral, a whole lot of times backwards, but my eyes stay on the prize. Small wins along the way with health, work, personal victories, see, they matter. They keep you moving forward. Now, let me share with you a story and show you how focusing on what you can't control, how it could change everything from a teenager's perspective, because I had to learn this a long time ago. See, when I was in high school, I went to this very cool high school Northwestern High School, Northwestern Coats in the building. We had a great jazz band, great marching band, dance company. It was like the School of the Arts kind of thing. Now, everybody in the band, they had great instruments, and some kids even had their own professional instruments. And I had to make do with what the school provided. So as a trumpet player, we went to pick out our instruments, but mine was dented, tarnished, and had been worn from previous players. Now, I'll be honest. The Leo in me, I couldn't help but check out those shiny instruments with envy. Was like, that I need that. That needs to be in my life. You know how Leos do. Had to shine. And naturally, I was frustrated. So I went home to my mom and I explained. And she called me Channing, man, because my middle name is Channing. So she would say, Channing, you just have to deal with what they have. So needless to say, I was crushed. I wanted to shine. I'm going to be a musician, and that's all I knew. But that's what they had, and that's what I had to deal with. So this one day, me and my friends, we were walking home from school, and we stopped by a local store. We usually stop by this store to buy our chips and pop. And yes, I said pop. I'm from Detroit. Soda, pop. Okay, get it right. I saw this black suitcase on this top shelf. Now, as a musician or a young musician, we kind of knew what these things were. And I saw that big case, and it could have been something for drums, but instinctively I knew it was something to do with a horn. So I asked him to pull it down so I could see what it was. So he pulls this case down off this top shelf and he puts it in front of me and he flips the levers and the latches. And then he opens it up slowly and then sitting in front of me, like I can see it right now, like he just did it. There was a bright silver trumpet and flugelhorn combination set. And they were Getzen manufactured. And Getzen was a very expensive trumpet. I think it still is. And the flugelhorn with it, those instruments a piece cost at least $1,000 a piece. And back during that time, it could have been, I would say, around $700, $800 a piece during those times, like in the early 80s. So I was like, oh my God, these are beautiful. So I asked the guy, how much are these? What are you selling them for? Now, I knew what they cost. But he said, hey, we're going to let this thing go for $200. Inside my brain, I had to control myself because the explosion was loud inside my head. But I knew for a fact, I can get these. I can shine. I'm going to be the man. So I left my friends, I got my chips and my pop, and I sprinted home. I got home, I could barely catch my breath, could barely talk. And when I calmed down enough to tell my mother what I found and how much it cost, my mother literally stopped me and said, hey, we have no money for instruments. Get it through your thick skull, young man. But I was explaining to her, and I was like, you gotta see what I saw, and they cost this amount, and he's only selling them for $200. We gotta get these. No. So my mother's word was her bond. So I shut it down, and of course I was dejected, and I felt some way about it, but I also knew that I already had what I was looking for. I wanted to be in the jazz band. I was in the marching band, and I was going to this cool high school, and I have an opportunity to be a musician and all the things that come with that. So I already had the bird in the hand, so to speak. So I went back outside to play with my friends, and I literally I forgot about it because it was like that opportunity slid through my fingers, so there's nothing I can do about it. So I come back in, and my mom and I can't remember who else was in the room with us. I know my brother was in there. She started fussing at us about something pertaining to our bedroom not being clean. Of course, we're boys. It probably wasn't. Quite sure it wasn't. She started making references to something being under the bed that shouldn't be there and to go get it out. And of course she's fussing, but we're like, okay, mom, okay, we'll do it. So I go into the bedroom and I, to pull it, we had bunk beds at the time. So I pulled up the mattress of the bottom bunk and slammed it down. I stood there quiet. I opened it up slowly again, slammed it down again. There was a black case under there. It looked very, very much like the black case that was at the store. I sat down in the middle of the floor and all I could do is just, my mouth was just open. I just sat there wide eyed, mouth open. Then I put my hands over my mouth. And then I opened up and I yelled, "Ma!" And she came to the door, leaned on the door. And in the doorway, she was like, "Surprise." I pulled the case out from under the bed. I unlatched the latches. And there were those beautiful silver trumpet and that flugelhorn combination. My mom had immediately got together with friends and family and scraped together $200 and sent somebody around there to grab that while I was out playing. And that was the most excited I think I've ever been in my life. Now, that moment taught me a lesson that I carry with me still to this day. Deal with what you can't control and only focus in on what you can. See, I didn't lose my cool. I stayed focused and I stayed patient. And it paid off. Even when life throws obstacles, health struggles, uncertainty, events outside of your control, you can find a way through. You can focus in on what you can control. You can stay grounded. And then you find joy and victories that come from patience, creativity, and resilience. And remember this anchor builds on the first two. Take the hit, release what's not yours, and now focus your energy on what you can do and what you can control. The momentum from that focus is what powers your comebacks. So thank you for listening. This is Big Will for the Big Will Breakdown. Until next time. Lay it down, tunnel vision, I don't see the hate. Clocking every hour, yeah, I'm building my feet. Took me some L's, paid the cost but never broke. Pressure made the diamonds, now I'm speaking in smoke. Age ain't a limit, it's a badge upon my chest. I'm still out running young bucks till my last breath. Legacy in motion, you can see it in my steps. Heart of a lion, you better show respect.
I said I'm ready for greatness. 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 I said I'm ready for greatness.
The Big Will Breakdown podcast is produced by William, Big Will Elijah, and Gail. Theme song, Greatness, written, produced, and performed by William Big Will Elijah. Art direction, William Big Will Elijah. Get caught up on the latest episodes of the Big Will Breakdown wherever you podcast. Follow, like, comment, and share. Don't forget to turn those notifications on. For more insights, information, and merchandise, go to thebigwillbreakdown.com. Thank you for your support.